All the world's a stage, but who is your audience? Because as a kid growing up, this was the word I heard the most. My teachers in classroom, shh, it's like a fish market in here. And then, this was an obligation that I had to keep quiet in classrooms. And then at home, having working parents made it only possible for me to meet them at night when they were really tired and had no time to talk to me. So in the classroom, because of my compulsion, and in the house due to situation, and another third entity which was also telling me to keep quiet was, I had a speech condition called a lisp. If you don't know what a lisp is basically where your S's sound like this. And my parents did the worst possible thing by giving me a name, the shortest possible name with the most number of S's in it, Sneha Suhas. And I had such a hard time even talking to people because the first thing I would do is tell my name and they would ask me why I was speaking like that. And at this point I realized that even saying the word lisp was quite horrible and hard. And this made me grow up to be a very, very shy person. And to just tell you how shy I was, there's a small anecdote. So there was a friend of mine, a neighbor actually, who lived in the next street, and she had called me home for her birthday party. I was not really friends with her, but it was a neighborhood. And I finished school and I went to the party, and my parents said, I'll pick you up. And they got really late. I went to the party at about 4 o'clock, and even though it was 9:30, they still hadn't come to pick me up. And this was what was happening to me. I'd had too much of water to drink, and I really wanted to use the washroom, but I was so shy, I couldn't ask. And I was scared. What if they said, no, you cannot use the washroom here? It was scary for me to even ask. So then, at about 9:30, my parents came, and looking at them, I ran. They had to literally chase me home because I was so scared, and by the time I reached home, I had wet my pants. So when I was really this silent and really shy, my thoughts were crowding my head. I had so many things to say, but no real way of expressing them. I could not get a medium to express because I was scared to make friends. I barely had any friends, and my parents were really busy, and it was not a very appreciative culture in school where we were allowed to talk and express ourselves. So the first form of art I tried was, because my mother thought it would be a good idea, dance. So I've trained in classical Indian style of dance, Bharatnatyam, for more than 10 years. I cleared exams with flying colors. And then I realized that this is not really solving my problem of thoughts crowding my head, because I could still not express myself. Bharatnatyam is a beautiful form of art, but it does not allow me to talk. I was always dancing to somebody else's tune, somebody else's choreography, and somebody else's words. So I did not find my form of expression. I did not find my stage and my audience here. So when I moved to college, I gave theater a try, because theater was more verbose. I could talk. I could own the stage, and I could have interactions with many people on stage. It was a different world out there, and I loved theater. Just when I started realizing that this wasn't my cup of tea either, because the thoughts in my head were still crowding, because theater used somebody else's words. They were somebody else's script, and it was the director's play. I again felt powerless. I still could not express myself completely. And it was only possible through words of others that theater was helping me. It was helping me talk a little more, but not so much my own words. So the third form of art, BDSM, business development, sales management. I got out of college, and so there was a company who had come for recruitment. It was the highest paying company which had come, and it was a core sales job. And I wanted it because it was, challenging, and it was a very exciting payment offer. And I really wanted to be financially independent, do my best, get the best job out of college. So somehow I sneaked into the interview because BCom students were not allowed, only BBM students were allowed to sit. But then I went in anyway, and I got the job. And then I told my employer, please don't tell my college, because I'm not supposed to be here. So that's how badly I wanted the job. And at the job, I realized that sales involves a lot of talking, and I had to push myself to talk to people to earn a living. And that's when I really pushed myself to talk to others, to talk to random strangers and close deals. To ask for money from somebody random and strange is not a very easy thing, is what I figured. Rejection, it was a part of sales. Like every 10 people I'd pitch to, 7 would say no to my product. And this made me so thick-skinned, I didn't care about it anymore. This was a part of my job. I was a professional. What I had to do was pitch and try my best. If they rejected it, well, it was worth the try. So that's what I realized from my sales job. And I did pretty well. In 10 months, I joined as a sales manager. In 10 months, I got promoted as a senior sales manager. But again, I realized now the inhibitions that I had about talking and speaking to people, interacting with them had all gone away. Because now I'd faced so much rejection, there was nothing worse that could happen. There was nothing worse than people cutting your calls, them paying you and their checks bouncing. So these were all the kind of rejections that I faced. And people sometimes would just walk away and not talk to me while I was pitching to them if they didn't like it. And so I heard about open mics that were happening. The artist in me, the person in me who still had so much to say and to express, was still waiting for a chance to say whatever she wanted to say. So I heard about open mics. So open mics are basically places like cafes or any restaurants where any one of you can go register and tell jokes. So a lot of time what happens is there are things which I think is damn funny. And then I go on stage, and then I realize that when I try out the jokes, the audience does not really laugh. And then after hitting a few open mics, I realized that there is a way to write jokes, and then you can tell jokes in a way that connects with people. And the feedback was instant. They either laugh or they don't laugh. And if they don't laugh, it's a rejection. And rejection is something I had learned so well from my job. It was okay, it was not personal. The whole of my childhood, I did not allow myself to speak because I felt like I could be rejected if people heard what I said. And that was scary for me. But now, I was putting myself out there, I was putting out my thoughts to see if it was funny and get the reaction. So now I felt like I could express myself without the fear of being rejected, because I had come to accept myself, that I could put my thoughts out there, and those thoughts that the people were rejecting and not me. And then I went on to write videos which went viral, and I got featured in the papers. And before I knew, people were taking my comedy more seriously than I was. What started off as a hobby to conquer my own thoughts and to put my thoughts out there, I took it up professionally because, well, people did recognize me and they called me. So I performed in Hyderabad, Mumbai, Chennai, and that's from Chennai and Mumbai, and a lot of places in Bangalore, and recently in Australia as well. And this made me one of the very few women in the country doing comedy professionally. And so what I would actually like to say is the idea. There are so many TEDx talks out there in the world, but my idea is have fun with rejection. If you don't put yourself out there, it means you haven't accepted yourself enough to put yourself out there. And everyone will find an audience. In my childhood, I did not have people to speak to, which made me search for people to talk to. My comedy is every conversation that I wanted to have but never had as a child. It was all my crowded thoughts coming out and letting itself free. So back to this. I I think if I'm still in a situation like this, I don't ask where the washroom is, or I don't ask if I can go to the washroom. I tell them. That's been my time. Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen.